fight it, boy. Your body is simply trying to pass its residual nanobots through your urethra. Perfectly natural. Oh, and son, that's not all you passed.
So hi! Welcome to Venture Brothers Podcast. I'm your host, always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Nick. Scooby Doo, where are you, Friedemann?
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh?
Oh, I love saying Ruh-roh. It's like my favorite thing in the
It's so
world.
good.
I do it all the time.
We also have Matt, the Jetsons, Dykes.
Woohoo! I have no idea. That was Simpsons.
Yeah, that was Simpsons.
Yeah.
Definitely not Jetsons.
I
don't know what you'd say for Jetsons.
No, I'm just thinking that now because
Yeah.
because
Here's George Jetson.
I have seen Jetsons.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember watching Jetsons as a kid.
His son Elroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the song. I do
Yeah,
like,
that's really all.
That's
I
pretty
have.
much
I
it.
do. I think it's Family Guy who do like a little skit on that of where George goes back to his wife and's like, no, I gave you this, not my entire wallet, bitch, or something like that.
I mean, that sounds like a very Seth MacFarlane style joke.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
This week, we are talking about faking miracles. We're deep into season 6 now. I think like 3 or 4 episodes because I can never remember how they actually number in this season. Thank you, All This and Gargantua too. We're actually finally getting into some legit Blue Morpho shit now.
Yeah.
Kinda.
He's there. He's mentioned. We see him.
Yeah, I suppose.
We see the Morpho-mobile.
I think this is
It
actually
starts
this
driving.
is episode 3 as well because as all the episode ordering that I've seen is All This and Gargantua 2 is episode 6.0, and then everything Hostile Makeover is 6.1. And
I still see 2 on like Hulu and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't matter.
Hulu
It's
said
the next
Hostile
episode.
Makeover was episode 4, so ignore Hulu.
But who cares? The numbers don't matter. It's the next episode. We're on the next one.
Yeah.
Next week will be the next one. This will keep working until season 7, when the next one is just we don't know yet. So welcome to the next one. So this week I'm really excited to talk Blue Morpho because I fucking love Blue Morpho and I love the whole storyline all the way through the first 3 episodes of season 7. So I'm very excited to be here now. There's also a lot of other stuff in this episode. It has a lot to do with the guild and whatnot. So really quick, let's just do a quick breakdown of what happens in the episode as much as we can. Matt, do you want to take this one?
Yep, no problem. So, the Monarch finds out that his father was the superhero Blue Morpho, and that he has a Morpho cave under his house. I don't think they ever refer to it as Morpho cave. I think I just created that. I will. Whilst out jogging, Hank spots Serena and tries to flirt with her, but is beaten up by her bodyguards. Brok intervenes, killing 2 of them, and Rusty sets up his new Super Science division, and the way that he sets it up is he just starts going through all of JJ's old stuff to try and find something that he can steal for himself. Wide Whale throws a birthday party for Serena and invites the Council of 13 as a way of thanking them for taking him on as a member of the council. Monarch goes to the party to try and do some recon on the people who are arching Rusty, but he's intercepted by a copycat. Billy accidentally breaks a vial of nanobots which slither away into the air vents and come out of the drain that Dean is having a shower in, and the nanobots, and how I've worded this, enter him. Whilst studying with Brok, whilst Dean is studying with Brok, Pete and Billy keep making the nanobots do stuff that they think is in a simulation, but he's actually in Dean's body. So they kill him, make him throw up, give him like super strength, and then have him speaking Babylonian. Wide Whale orders Serena a pizza that Hank delivers, and when Rocco, the surviving bodyguard, sees him, he chases him around the house to try and beat the crap out of him for what Brok did. Copycat tranquilizes the Monarch and steals his outfit to make Dr. Mrs. the Monarch think he is ignoring the council's stipulation that he not arch Rusty. and Hank stumbles into Serena's room and asks her out on a date. And then at the very end, Dean passes his college entrance exams thanks to the nanobots, and then has to pee them out.
Which is probably my favorite thing in the entire episode of Rusty finally brings Dean down to his level, even though Dean's unaware of it, and has him cheat his way into college.
Yep. And then also one of my favorite lines in the entire episode: "Don't try to fight it. Your body's just trying to pass your residual nanobots through through your urethra. It's perfect. It's perfectly natural."
Perfectly natural. Oof.
Oh.
So, first things first on this episode, beyond the wonderful breakdown we just got, I gotta say, I love the cast in season 6. Like, that's partially why we're doing favorite performance, but like, you just look at the cast list, and my God, they just have so many wonderful people on now, just constantly.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, I love Kristen Milotti as the mother. I think she not as the mother. She plays the mother on How I Met Your Mother, but as Serena, I didn't really like her as the mother.
See, I never got to that point on How I Met Your Mother where I saw her as the mother, because I gave up way before she even came into it. Because I was like, you know what, fuck this show.
She just, I actually really like that show, but man, it falls apart. Man, it falls apart.
I think I gave up on season
unfortunately,
6.
that's when she joins the show. But she was great in Black Mirror, so
Yes,
I'm
she
still
was
a fan of her.
fantastic in that episode.
Mm-hmm. And she's great as Serena. Serena's probably my favorite new character introduced in season 6, who isn't, Red Death. So she's like strong second place. But then we also have Toby Husback as Copycat and Scaramantula. We also have Paul F. Tompkins playing Blue Morpho. Like, there's just so many wonderful actors in this, and it's just great to have them all here.
No way, that's Toby Huss who's doing Copycat. I had no idea of that.
Yep.
Oh, that's insane when you think about...
He's such a good voice
actor.
Yeah,
you think about like him as Tracer, and then him as Copycat. They sound nothing alike.
Totally different. But I hear his voice more in Copycat than I did in Tracer.
Yeah, so the only other thing I've seen him in is *Halt and Catch Fire*, and he's got a really southern Texan drawl in that, so I don't even hear him in Copycat really.
Oh, okay. I think I've just seen him in enough just like bit parts that like that's closer to his actual speaking voice.
Yeah. The thing is, like, now I've seen him as like a main character in *Halt and Catch Fire*. I'll probably go back and watch stuff I've watched loads of times before and see him. It's like when I started watching Bosch and I went back and watched a few episodes of the X-Files, and he shows up in one of those episodes. I'm like, holy shit, it's Titus Welliver.
There he is. I love that Kate McKinnon's roles are always just totally different, and you can tell she's just having a blast with them. We didn't mention her last week with Redusa, but she does come back.
Redusa. I was like, that is just insane. Another really incredible, like, all the characters that she's played in this series, none of them sound alike. They all sound like completely different characters.
I love Kate McKinnon. So awesome. But let's move into the actual episode a little bit. Let's just do a quick round the table. I know I mentioned last week, if you for avid listeners, that this season's a little tough for me to keep separated, and this week definitely continues that trend because I thought all of Redusa was in this episode. That's why we didn't talk about her a lot last week, because I kind of forgot about her part last week.
Yep.
So it's a little tough for me still to kind of figure it out. But Nick mentioned that he has a theory of why that is, specifically for this episode.
Yeah. My theory is I think that they're trying to... You mentioned last week that it doesn't feel like cramming a lot in, and I feel like it kind of does, because it feels like they're trying to bridge the gap between a few things, and it's like, I know why they're putting the Redusa thing in the last bit, but it feels like it's kind of stretched a little long, so while it could just be like a one-off thing, it kind of gets like turned into something that feels a little bit more serious. So it's hard to parse the information, I feel like. That's my theory on like these 2 episodes here, is that there's so much going on
that's fair.
that it's hard to figure out what's actually important and what's not. So when you actually go back and watch it, it doesn't feel like a slog or anything like that, but it feels like I don't really kind of remember exactly what happens in what episode in this season.
Yeah, and I think it just, this season really kind of lets go of any capabilities you had before for passive watching.
Yes.
And now, I don't mean that as a bad thing at all. I'm totally fine with that. But I've seen this show, I've even seen this season more times than I can count, but I can turn on any episode from seasons 1 through 5 and clean my apartment and go, yeah, I know what happened. These I can't. Doesn't matter how many times I've seen them, I still have to pay attention.
Yes. I also have a smaller theory, which is we talked about this a little bit with Billy not being so gullible. I have a hard time with, I think they're trying to, I wouldn't say reinvent the characters, but trying to at least like maybe focus them a little bit better or change them a little bit. I find it weird that Dean is struggling to, or at least is nervous at all or anything about the college exams. He is easily the smartest one. I find it odd that he has this struggle.
I never took it as him being nervous or struggling even. I always took it as he's doing what is expected of him. He's got tests. He has to study for tests.
I see.
He always hears that, like, people have study buddies, so he wants a study buddy. He never had a childhood or never even had anything close to a childhood, so all he knows is either from his learning bed or from TV and cartoons. So I feel like it's just him trying to piece together what he thinks he should be doing.
All right.
If you think about it as well, like, Dean doesn't really, like, all the people he's ever really hung out with have been adults. You know, with
That's
the exception of Dermot. And Dermot is literally just Hank's friend who he's hung out with a little bit, but he doesn't really like him anyway. He just hangs out with him because Hank's hanging out with him. So it's like literally his brother and then a lot of adults. So he's now having to interact with people his own age. And I think that scares him because he doesn't really know how to interact with people of his own age because he's never done it before. And he's got to the age of like he's going to college and he's never done that before. That would terrify anybody.
Yeah, so I think it's just a little bit of like a regression, a little bit of him going back to trying to be a kid because he's staring adulthood in the face. And I think that's a very real emotion, and I don't think it's really played for laughs. I think everything that he's doing is played for laughs, and I kind of like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like starting a new job.
Yeah.
You know, like whenever you start a new job, and for me anyway, whenever I start a new job, it's like, oh, are they going to like me? Am I going to get on with these people? Now, imagine if you were doing that, but you'd never hung out with anyone your age, and you knew that like everyone was going to be your age as well. So it's that extra pressure of, well, I don't even know how to act around these people.
Yeah. Did we swing you over to our side?
I think so. I'm buying. Yes, this all makes sense to me. I also had this thought that I was like,
ever happened.
As you were talking about it, I was like, oh, he's never really taken a test before.
No,
he's
never taken an exam before because the learning bed literally just said, right, yeah, you've been doing this for long enough. Here's your diploma.
Yeah, the closest thing he had was that interview with Billy about is he qualified to go to society, and Billy's like, "Fuck no."
Yeah, he's like, even Billy even says the stuff that they've been getting taught is way out of date because it's just all the recycled stuff that freaking Rusty will have had. It's the same.
Which explains more why Rusty has to have him cheat because he didn't give him any of the tools to succeed in life. Yeah. So I think all that kind of works. But I think that the main meat of this episode, unfortunately, is not with the Ventures, and I go, it's got to be with Sheila and the Monarch.
Yeah.
The Monarch was in last week's episode very briefly. You know, you kind of see the cave, you see a little bit, but they don't really go too deep into it. This time they really spend time, and like you get to see Blue Morpho's cave, you get to see his car, you get to see his crime computer, and it's just a whole lot for the Monarch to take in, and I love all of it. I'm so into it.
I mean, that opening sequence as well, the little flashback thing, going back to when the Blue Morpho was introduced to, sorry, I did air quotes then, like a character into the Ventures world, and then you suddenly realise when it comes back to present day that 21's literally just been reading a comic book, and it's also a comic book that's kind of based on stuff that happened. It's really bizarre, like the way they do that with, like, they've got the Ventures cartoon series. It's not, sorry, it wasn't even a cartoon series. It's like a TV series. But it's also stuff that actually happened. Like, it was a documentary, but whenever you see footage from it, it's never shot like a documentary. It's shot like a cartoon. I keep saying cartoon. It's shot like a
well, they
TV
say cartoon.
Yep.
Do they?
Yeah, they say.
Oh,
the
right.
Rest Adventure
That's
cartoon.
why I keep pulling
Yeah.
cartoon out my ass then.
Yeah. They blatantly say cartoon. Makes no sense, but it's one of those, like, are you into it or not? If you're not, then why are you watching this show?
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying, but it is totally one of those, just like, this is just the world you're buying into.
100%. You
So
can't
that's
think
what-
too
that's
much about
why-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like blows your mind a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a thread you don't want to pull on.
But that's the sort of thing of like it's yeah, that's finding out that that his dad was a superhero as well. I love that instant reaction where it's like, do not say that.
Oh, yeah.
And
And that just gets worse and worse for poor Monarch.
yeah,
Yep.
it's so good as I was like, oh come on, Blue Morpho, what the fuck is a Morpho? It's a kind of butterfly, dingus.
That's I think my favorite thing in this is just I love their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, it has grown so
I mean, can you imagine
much.
season 121 saying that, talking back to the Monarch like that?
Oh, no way.
No.
Even season 4. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
wouldn't even. It's not until he has his time away and chooses to come back on his own that he would ever stand up.
I suppose, yeah, like the first time, have him actually stand up to fucking Rusty, the Monarch is Prom, where he just
Yeah.
goes, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and then they don't really get back together until now, and
Yeah.
I think it totally works. Or I guess
And I think
now-ish.
this is the thing with 21 is like he's got to where he wants to be as well, because I don't think he ever wanted to be a villain or a superhero. I think he always wanted to be a sidekick. I think
I don't know.
I think that's where he's happiest, and I think
it's where he's happiest, but I don't think it's like that wasn't his goal. I don't think.
maybe not his goal, but I think because he's trying to go off and do things on his own, didn't work. So I think he's then realised, well, no, I'm better off as like a sidekick to someone. But I think instead of just being like random henchman, his aim at that point was to be the number 2, the sidekick, not random
Sure.
henchman.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's totally move on. Let's actually just talk Monarch, Blue Morpho throughout this episode. He doesn't really do Blue Morpho stuff till next episode, but like just the Monarch throughout, because I feel like for me, that's the meat of this episode, of how he kind of gets shafted by Copycat.
Yeah, I think that is why he actually decides to become the Blue Morpho. Like, I think it plays a part of it because, Wide Whale and Copycat. Because I think Copycat's only doing what he's doing because Wide Whale's kind of instructed him. Because there's these little glances and looks between him and everything we know about Wide Whale, and especially with future episodes, we know why he's fucking with the Monarch quite a bit. I think he basically went to Copycat.
I mean, but at this point, I think they're
"Fuck
hiding
with
that
this
well
guy,"
enough
and
where
then
if you
Copycat's just
don't
gone
know
off
where
and
it's
done what
coming,
he
it doesn't
wants.
feel like, why are we wasting time here?
And I think that is pushing the Monarch away from the guild a little bit more. Because it's like, well, hang a minute, why am I trying to fit in with these guys when they just keep fucking with me? And I think that's possibly what leads him to make the decision to become Blue Morpho as well. That sort of thing, like, you know what? No, fuck this. I want to hench Dr. Venture, but these guys are assholes. I want to, hurt them a little bit as well.
I never took it like that. I just took it as he's doing whatever he can to hench Dr. Venture. Like, that's it. I never took it as like he's going against the system or anything like that. It's just the system's in his way, so now he'll get them out of the way so he can get back to what he wants to do.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I think if it was just that, I think there would have been another route it could have gone. And I do think I think there is some anger towards the guild there. I mean, like, his wife is now his boss, essentially. She's very rarely around. Like, the guild's taking his wife away from him. The people who he's working with in the guild are just fucking with him all the time, not giving him the respect he feels like he deserves and stuff like that. So that's where I sort of took that thought process from.
Sure. It's possible. I'm not sure if I'm 100% on that same page. What about you, Nick?
I don't know. It's tough because I've been struggling with this like since I've watched the episode of why Copycat's doing this. Like, what is he getting out of it? And Matt saying like, "Oh, he's working for Wide Whale" makes so much more sense to me. And I've just been thinking about that
he
for
nods
like
at
the
the
last
end.
2 or 3 minutes or whatever.
At the end, he they basically say it. Like White Whale looks at Copycat, and Copycat gives him that whole like, "Yep, all done."
Oh, interesting. I don't know why I thought it was something else. I don't know why I assumed that it was like Copycat's going rogue in some weird way, because I was like, I don't get it. And now it's like, oh, this all makes so much more sense to me.
But here's where, so when I watched this in season, like back when this aired, what I thought was happening was blatantly wrong. But what I always thought was happening was Wide Whale was trying to take over the guild. And what better way to get rid of Sheila than to make her super, like, stuck with her husband, who's just being a total dickbag.
Interesting.
So it would totally attack her credibility, and then eventually get her out of the guild, and then he could take her spot.
Right.
That's what I thought was happening, because that's kind of how, like, because we have nothing beyond the fact that if you're really paying attention, you see that Dugon was Wide Whale's brother,
Right.
and that's very quick. Like, you can miss that.
For
and
sure.
I have many
Yeah.
times. So if you didn't see that one thing and you missed that thing, then there's really no motivation for Copycat or Wide Whale whatsoever, and you're just kind of left to fill in the blanks. And I love that. Like, that is perfect Venture Brothers mystery. I can just sink my teeth into it, having no, like, now here in the future I can know what happens. But at the time, I was like, I got this. Like, he's trying to get out Sheila. This is going to be great. She's got to rely on the Monarch for help, which he's not going to be good at. And, like, I had all these theories going in my head, which were all wrong, which just made me like it even more.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I do like how
I-
Hank is using the Go Pod as well now as his little pizza delivery thing. Just going back to, well, jumping into like the Hangouts. But I was just looking through my notes then. I think I maybe jumped a bit ahead into our
That's okay.
discussion. Sorry.
No, it's great. I love Hank in New York. Like, just Hank in New York is great. Like, the fact that he's like, I'm not going to be a super scientist. I've never wanted that. I'm just going to get a job and just live
Delivering
my life.
pizzas
It-
in a really
And he's a
in a really
billionaire.
high tech vehicle, which doesn't stop very well.
He has no need to do this. Like, his dad has more money than he could ever possibly need. He's fine. He's already bought a giraffe
Yeah.
once.
That's true. And I think it was in the last episode he was getting his toenails done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's just laid there on the sofa getting like a pedicure.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I love Hank. And Hank and Serena are just the best.
Yeah.
Like,
When I was watching it earlier on, the bit on the balcony with them, they make such a really nice couple. I think they look good together. You know, and
Yeah.
there is definitely, you know, attraction from both of them. I think Hank's definitely infatuated with her completely, but I think she also does like him even at that point before the date.
yeah, and then knowing where this all goes in season 7 makes this even like more like almost heartbreaking in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is just the fact that Serena has multiple layers. She has a goofy side. She has a fun side. And it's like this really slow intro we get to her throughout the beginning of season 6. You kind of see all of those angles. Hank really isn't that deep of a guy.
No.
Nope.
What you see is what you get. And I think the more she realizes that, which is what will eventually cause that downfall, spoiler alert. But I like seeing the initial attraction. Like, what gets her into, like, the Ventures world. I think it's just perfect.
I mean, maybe Hank would have more layers if he hadn't been cloned 14 times.
No.
I still think the clones
Yeah.
are fine.
I think Hank is one of those, like, he's like Fry in Futurama, where it's just kind of like everything just kind of bounces off of him. It works out, but I don't think that there's anything that's the cause of this. It's just who he is.
You know, I've thought about the two of them together so many times, and just tell me if I'm wrong. I've always thought the same thing. If Hank and Fry were to hang out, they'd have the best time ever, and then they'd part ways and think the exact same thing. That guy was an idiot.
100%.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can believe that.
But they'd have a blast. They would love it so
They would have
much.
a blast, but
And then
something would get destroyed in like a really weird way, you know?
Yeah.
But that wouldn't affect them.
No,
at all.
no, no. They'd be totally fine. It'd be like they're leaving a diner and the diner's like support beam would crumble. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like,
Yeah, definitely.
okay.
Or just burst
Because of
into
something
flames or
stupid, like-
something.
Yeah. Because, like, they threw a napkin on the ground or just something totally just absent-minded that would not affect anyone else in any other way. Like, it would just be perfect. I really want a team-up show of Hank and Fry.
Me too.
But anyhow, like I love the main reason why I think I love New York Hank more than any other version of Hank, which is a very bold thing to say. I understand, especially Detective Hank being so great with his hat. Goddamn,
yeah, that hat is amazing. I think Nick, you really love that hat, don't you?
It's probably my favorite thing to dislike in this show.
But what I was gonna say is I love New York Hank because I feel like his like bravado, like his character finally meets his ego.
Yes, I agree with that.
Like he's finally able to be as suave as he always thought he was. Like, especially when he asked out Serena. Like, it is the most suave, badass Hank has ever been and probably ever will be.
Yeah, that is so cool. That bit where the thing just comes up and he's like, "So, do you have a date?" I'm just like,
yeah.
that is the smoothest, suavest thing I've seen from pretty much any character on this series.
Well, especially just the whole way it's written and the way it's played is just so good. Of she's flirting with him and just totally jokingly challenges him. What? You're not willing to risk your life to go on a date with me? I thought we had something.
And he
here.
just steps
and
off
he
the
just
roof.
Jumps off the roof. Like,
don't even jump. He just steps off.
Yeah, it's totally a reference to Aladdin, and I'm fine with
See,
that.
I didn't get that. I got it was a reference to Back to the Future Part 2.
I mean, I guess it could be, but I mean,
I think it's more likely to be Back to the Future Part 2 with Jackson Public and Doc Hammer, potentially, because it's...
Knowing them, I would say yes, but having seen Aladdin more times than I can count, it's pretty much exactly what happens in Aladdin.
It's pretty much exactly what happens in Part 2 as well. Steps off and then it comes back up. And it is a vehicle.
Well, they're just similar movies. I'm going to keep thinking Aladdin, though, because it is so blatantly Aladdin. But it's also blatantly Part 2, but we'll let the audience decide. Aladdin or Back to the Future.
Vote now.
Yeah, vote now on our non-existent poll. What haven't we hit? What are we circling the drain on? What do we need to mention?
I mean, there's something...
Do we need to mention that fucking Donald Trump is in the episode? Because that fucking guy fucking sucks and I fucking hate him. Sorry if you're a Trump supporter out there, you can unsubscribe.
Yeah, I love that. I've never even noticed him. That's how much of a prick I think the guy is. I just didn't even notice he was there. It was when I was reading the book when I realised that he was actually in there. And they say in the book that Donald Trump's there because they're basically... Wide Whale's building is basically a rip-off of Donald Trump's Trump Tower, apparently.
I could see that. I do have to mention fucking... God, is it Red Mantle or Dragoon who gets his head shrunk?
Red Mantle.
Red Mantle.
That whole thing, the whole Red Dragoon and Reducer sequence is so good. Where she's like, I don't do threesomes, but she went in
just
there
as
with
he walks out with the little Red Mantle head just crying like a baby.
Like, I put a bag over his head.
God damn it, they're so good. Oh boy,
there is something I want.
I think that's kind of everything, right? Is there anything else?
There is one thing I keep meaning to mention when it comes to Wide Whale. I meant to mention it in the first episode where it was really obvious, like really stupidly obvious, and it's still happening in these episodes, but it's not as obvious because there's less shots of him actually moving. The pinstripes on his jacket don't move, so they stay static, but when he moves, they don't move. So it looks super weird to me whenever he's walking around because his pinstripes are not moving. So it's like he's walking and then his pinstripes on his suit are moving to stay in line with where they were.
It is... I was trying to figure out if that's what it was or what it... I think that you're obviously right because you probably actually like went in and looked at it, but it was so confusing to me once I started noticing that because it's like they do it a lot.
It's the first
comics
episode where it's more
it's
obvious.
Just easier. You know what I mean? But it's so
more
strange
obvious in
to
the
do
first
it
episode.
here.
It's way more obvious in the first episode because there's a shot where the angle changes. So like the pinstripes should have changed direction. They stay the same direction. So all of a sudden the pinstripes which were going down his suit are like going off to the side. It's very,
Gotcha.
very strange. If you go back and watch the meeting he has with Sheila in Hostile Makeover, it's super obvious in there. I meant to mention it in that episode, but I forgot because there was so much to cover in that episode anyway.
There's something. I mean, I really want to go back now and see if they do the same thing with Killinger.
I don't think they do, but
No,
maybe.
I don't think they do.
I don't think so. I don't think they do, but now I want to go back and double
Right.
check. But that's for another time. I think it's ready for favorite performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that
Okay.
mine is going to be the same as at least one of yours.
Well, why don't you go first? Because I have mine.
Kristen Milotti as Serena.
Yeah. We are on the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's so awesome in this episode. It's like that line of, "Yes, I'm fine, Rocco. I was just getting some fucking air." Oh god, what accent was that came out then?
I don't know what you
That
had.
was so fucking weird. I didn't even realize that I was doing it, and then until after I was like, "What accent was that?" But yeah, that line is just so good. It's like I just love how she's like all sweet and like with Hank, and then as soon as Rocco comes in, she's like, "Oh, fuck off."
She also has my favorite chirp at the end of. I think it's in season 7, but she has the best chirp.
She's just great.
She's just so fucking good as Serena. I love Serena.
She's great.
And it says so much about Red Death that if Serena's not my favorite character for the season, how great is that?
Well,
I
mean, Red Death is
We-
Clancy Brown, so you know. He's
exactly.
got, like,
We still have a few episodes till we get there, but
Yeah.
man, I am excited. But seriously, Serena, like fucking so good. Nick, did you have somebody else, or were we all just
I think
on
we're
the
all
same
on the
page?
same page, but just to throw out another person I liked because I'm excited to see more of is Paul F. Tompkins as Blue Morpho.
That was going to be my second, but I think he has a lot more to do next
Yep.
episode. So I'm kind of like, well, I'll just save him for next week. But just in the interest of saying more names, if I wasn't going to take Christina Milioti, I would have gone with Toby Huss for Copycat.
Yeah, he was also really good.
Yeah, if I'd have known that it was Toby Huss, I'd probably would have gone with Toby Huss just because of how good that performance was. Like the fact that I had no idea it was actually him.
He's so good.
Copycat
okay.
was the end. It was like appears in All This in Gargantua too. So you know when on the video where they're showing like, and this is the onboard entertainment, and they show like a singer. It's Copycat.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I do
Yep.
wonder if it was supposed to be Copycat or they just reused the little singer thing for Copycat, and because they realized they wanted to go for this sort of Dean Martin like character.
I would guess it's the same.
Yeah.
I would guess. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
I like
guess.
to think that they planned it out that much in advance. We're like, yeah, we'll put him on there as like a little Easter egg for when we get to later on in the season.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was kind of thinking too. Let's do some plugs. Pluggity plugs.
Plug it in.
Be sure on the ATH network to check us out on Mondays. Check out Samwise on Tuesdays, Demon Days on Wednesdays, After the Hype on Thursdays, and Damage Boost on Fridays. Every Monday we have a new article by Emily Blake called, my God, how did I just forget the name of her fucking article series?
Other voices.
Other Voices. Jesus Christ. I got it right last week. So be sure to check all of that out in the ATH network, and I'll let Matt and Nick say their plugs. Nick, do you have anything to plug?
Nope, still nothing.
Still nothing. Matt?
So last Friday, my Stargate article, the first part anyway, went live. It covers the original film. And this coming Friday, the second part should be going live, which covers Stargate SG-1. And it's considerably longer than the first part by a factor of about 4. It's probably higher than that, actually. I think my word count was just over 11,000 words, which translates to about 14 A4 pages. And then we've got Atlantis coming, and then Universe, Origins, and like just a general outline of what potential things in the future. But yeah, it's Stargate month for me here in October.
Nice. Yeah, we also have a horror movie month going on at After the Hype, so, if you like horror movies. The first week was rough, I'll be honest. Very rough. We watched 30 Days of Night, which is not a good movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, don't. And then we also watched Revenge, which is a great movie that is a motherfuck to watch. Super, super hard to watch movie, but great.
Nice.
Yeah, tons of stuff going on the ATH network. Be sure to check it out. I think I've ran out of everything we can say though. Have you guys? We're done?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That's all of it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Nick's been
Well,
replaced
then
by something. I don't know.
Bye?
Bye.
Bye?
Bye.
Bye?
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.